Hello everybody, welcome to the Clean Cuisine. Today we're going to be doing a really easy crock pot roast that is absolutely delicious. And I'm going to show you right now all the ingredients that we'll need and then we'll get started. So I've got my crock pot out, obviously. I think it's around a 6-quart. I've got a 2-pound rump roast of some grass-fed beef. Keep in mind, guys, it's important. Go grass-fed, go organic if you're going to use meat products as much as possible. We'll get into that later. But vegetables for this particular pot roast, I'm just going to use some baby carrots I had on hand. They're already cut up. It's going to make your life super simple and easy, so keep those on hand at all times. And then potatoes. And I'm going to kind of go heavy on the vegetables for this. We're trying to incorporate a lot more vegetables in our life. So instead of meat being kind of the predominant ingredient here, I've got 6 red potatoes. You can use any kind of potato that you want. And this is one of those large bags of baby carrots. So I'm going to use half of that, just to give you an idea. Of course, you know, cater it to your style, guys, but that's what I'm going to be using. For herbs and spices, I've got salt and pepper, I've got rosemary, and I've got thyme. And then I've got a stock. Instead of beef stock would be absolutely perfect in this, but I'm going to try a vegetable stock just to see how that turns out. I don't think it'll make too much difference because we're only using about a half a cup. And I might even add a dash of Worcestershire to that. And then just a drinking red wine, something that is not gone bad and that you like to drink. And we're going to add about a half a cup of that to our stock. If you're going to try to do this whole 30, which everything right now is compliant, you would just sub out double the stock in place of the red wine. All right, let's get cracking. Okay, so I've got my rump roast. I pretty much just give it a quick rinse and a pat dry. And what I'm going to do is liberally coat it both sides with some salt and pepper. Meanwhile, while I'm doing this, I have my saute pan is heating at medium high to high heat, a little bit more towards the high side, because what we're going to do with this bad boy is we're going to sear it before we put it into our crock pot. This is an important step, guys. It's going to lock in a lot of flavor. It's going to add a different texture to the meat. I think it's worth it. I have skipped it before prior to learning a little bit more about cooking, and it turned out fine too, but this is something that I think is worth that extra step. So again, just kind of coating both sides with a good amount of some coarse sea salt and some black pepper. And then after we sear it, or while we're searing it, we'll cut up all our veggies and add that to the crock pot. So let's go over to our saucepan. Alright, so my saucepan is nice and hot. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil. And then I'm going to go ahead and place my roast right in there. And that's what you want to hear. If you're not hearing that sizzle, take it off. Your pan's not hot enough. You want to crank the heat up a little bit more to high. You want to hear that sizzle. So I'm going to let it sear on every side for probably anywhere between a minute to 2 minutes. It totally depends on how quick or how hot your pan is. And we'll check it after about 45 seconds to 60 seconds to see that it's getting that nice brown crispy sear that we're looking for. So I just lifted it up, and that's what we want right there, that really nice brown sear. I'm going to turn it over. Now it is important, guys, to sear every side if at all possible. This rump roast happens to be a little odd shape, so I'll actually use my tongs and hold it up. I'll show you after this side's done, just to make sure we do get every angle of this roast. Okay, so to sear this side here, because you can see it's not really seared at all, I'm going to take my tongs and I'm actually just going to hold it up in place. Keep in mind, you only have to do this for about a minute, so you're not, you know, not the end of the world. But we want to make sure that we sear all the sides. And I'll do the same for this side here. And the same for this side. Alright, so we're back at the cutting board. I've got my nice seared steak. I still hear it sizzling. I am going to take that and place it. Ooh, looks good. right into my crock pot, right on the bottom there, okay? Put that aside. And then we will get to cutting our vegetables. So for the potatoes, I'm just going to do them in bite-sized pieces. Uniformity is important because you want them to cook all at the same consistency, the same softness. So try to keep them all the same size. And the reason I'm putting the roast in the bottom is because you want that roast to kind of braise, if you will, in the juices. If you have the vegetables on the bottom and it's keeping the meat out of those juices, it has a tendency to get a little drier. So the more that meat can be submerged in all of those yummy juices that are coming off the meat itself, as well as the stock and the wine, the better off you'll be. So, and the vegetables, I mean, they will eventually fall to the bottom, and you're probably going to stir it once or twice to incorporate everything. But, you know, the potatoes and the carrots really don't take that long to soften. It's the meat that we're wanting to really loosen up and become that fork tender roast that we're looking for. Okay, one more potato. Like I said, I'm going really heavy on the vegetables, guys. This is not necessary if you don't want this many, but it also makes the pot stretch a lot more. And, well, vegetables are good for you. So, there we go. We got all of the potatoes in there. I'm going to throw as many carrots as I can fit. Don't mind my baby in the background. And again, it's okay if you can't stir everything at once. Once the meat starts to shrink up a little bit and the juices start to roll, you'll have a lot more room to kind of move things around. So now let's go ahead and add our spices and our herbs. I'm going to just do a little bit more cracked pepper. I'm going to do about 2 teaspoons, maybe 1.5 teaspoons of thyme. She's really talking over there. She wants my attention. And about 1 teaspoon of rosemary. Okay, then I'm going to add just about 1 teaspoon, maybe a little bit more of salt, because remember we salted the roast before we put it in, so it's always better to go a little shy on the salt. You can add more in later. So right now I'm going to take this wine and come up to a full cup. So again, it's a total of 1/2 cup red wine and 1/2 cup stock of choice. Remember that if you're going to omit the wine, she's really excited about that toy. If you're going to omit the wine, just double your stock, okay? And just pour that right over your vegetables and your roast. And we are ready to pop it in our crock pot. Remember, this is a great dinner if you are heading off to work, and you can even prep all this the night before. You can set this overnight if you want. Do this after dinner. Set it right before you go to bed. It'll be ready when you wake up to pack lunches, or just to have that dinner all ready for the next day. Or on your way to work right before, pop this in the crock pot, and when you get home it'll be ready to go. Either way, this is a super simple, easy, clean dish. You can feel good about feeding your family, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and put mine on high because I've already started this a little later than I wanted to. And for high, it's going to go probably around anywhere between 4 to 6 hours, and on low probably closer to 7 to 8, maybe even 9 if you really wanted to stretch it. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'm looking forward to showing you what it looks like when we're all done. Stay tuned. So here is our finished product after about 5 hours on high. You can see both the carrots and the potatoes are fork tender. And these potatoes kind of act as 2 things. When they get this soft, I know if you like yours a little bit more al dente and you're home to do it, go ahead and just wait to add them in after a couple hours of the meat cooking, but I don't mind this at all because the potatoes actually break down and help to make this into more of that stew, kind of thicker consistency as opposed to more of a broth-based stew. So keep that in mind. But you can see there's our liquid down there. The meat has been cooking in it, and it is perfectly fork tender, just falling apart. There's a huge chunk right there. Woo! Sorry about that. But you can just see, so soft and fork tender. And there you go, guys. You've got your stew. I hope you enjoy. Make sure to leave a thumbs up if you like. Don't forget to subscribe for more clean, simple, quick meals your whole family will love.